Lizzie. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditsies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment. We can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, guys, Miss Liz is back. That's right. And I have an exciting guest in the house tonight. I have Valerie Holden in. And we had a good time talking in the back. So we're going to have a good time talking live with all of you guys. So let's get us all started. And by getting everybody over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel and click that subscribe button, share it with a friend, a family member, and all those co-workers, because there are incredible tea times on that channel. I guarantee one tea time will resonate with all of you guys. So tonight, let's get started with the disclaimer, and then we got an incredible intro, and then we're going to get Valerie in here, and we're going to spill some tea. And tonight, her tea is performer, protector, purpose-driven, and you'll get to understand that a little bit more later. But we're going to do also some 3 C's and all of that good stuff, and we're going to take you on a journey tonight. So, disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live shows. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real-life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decisions that may relate to this discussion. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including, but not limited to, trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotional triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of Miss Liz's discussions, you are welcome to contact me at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate and comment on or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. Miss Liz welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect those wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Now let me get a little bit on my guest, and then let's spill some tea. So tonight on Tea Time, I have the honor of sharing this space with the incredible Valerie Holden, a storyteller, writer, and advocate for courage and self-discovery. Before founding Bossy Woo, Valerie's dedicated over 20 years of her life as a police officer, serving her community with strength, integrity, and resilience. Her journey from law enforcement to storytelling is a powerful reminder that transformation often begins when we choose to listen to the quiet call within. Through her words and her work, Valerie inspires us to embrace our truths, step boldly into who we are, welcoming and creating spaces for healing and change in our communities and within ourselves. So pour yourself a cup of your choice, settle in, and open your hearts as we share in this empowering conversation. And let me welcome Valerie into the studio. Welcome, Valerie.
Hi, Miss Liz. Thank you for having me.
I need like 10 of me to say all of these words. Like sometimes I feel like digga, 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 digga.
You could have somebody pre-record it for you, and then you could just sit back and relax for a minute.
Yeah, I'm working on that. That's coming up for September because reading that disclaimer alone it's gut wrenching sometimes, and I worry about what my guests are thinking in the back, or my listeners are like, "Oh, Miss Liz, we've already heard this." So, Valerie, welcome to Tea Time. So, tell me a little bit about Valerie, who she was as a little girl, and who Valerie is now.
Well, it's funny because when you mentioned the performer, as a little girl, I remember my mom would drive us to swim school. Instead of going to kindergarten, we went to the school where we did gymnastics and learned how to swim. And our teacher taught us piano, and she was Swedish, so she taught us how to speak Swedish. But I just remember on the way over to there, I would sit in the back seat, and my mom would have the radio on, and I would pretend like I was singing. So that was probably like 4 or 5 years old. So that's what started me on that performing, and then ballet and all the little dance classes that you take as a little girl. And then as I went through high school, I was in the drill team, and college drill team, and the dance team. High school, junior high school, and college dancing. So that was the performer part. But my mom also had me in sports and things, so a lot of activity, a lot of healthy stuff. So that was nice.
And you're jumping into your tea like right away, Valerie. Like,
oh, that's a good thing, I hope.
I'm like, okay, so we got the performer in. Now let's get the protector in, and then let's get into the rest of the stuff. But let's get into the protector, since when we started the tea, we have to flow with the tea.
Well, okay. It was funny. So the performer. Well, this is what happens sometimes. You have these dreams. So that was my dream of being a performer, and then reality hits, because when I was in my early 20s, it was, take all the classes that I need to be an expert dancer so I could actually get hired, or work and have some money so I could actually afford to live. And my choice was working. So I had a bunch of different jobs. I was a UPS driver, and even at one point, before that, I had a couple different jobs. I worked for a couple different airlines in the reservations office. But, the airlines, sometimes you work, sometimes you get laid off, depending on how it goes. And so I actually was taking classes to teach dancing at Fred Astaire Dance Studio. So that was funny. But I was living in the LA area, and my family moved to Las Vegas, so I went with them. And my brother's a fireman, and I thought I would go visit him at the station. I go, this seems like a pretty cool job. Maybe I'll apply to be a fireman. And so the the suggestions from the guys, take as many tests as you can, and eventually you'll get hired by a department somewhere. Well, just for the heck of it, now backtrack. When I was in college, I did want to be a police officer, because I grew up watching, Policewoman, and hate to say Charlie's Angels, but running around catching bad guys.
Charlie's Angels was good. Come on.
Yeah. But run around chasing bad guys. But when I got out of college, I was too short. You had to be 5'6", and I was only 5'5", and that was for LAPD. For the sheriff's office, you had to be able to climb a 6-foot wall. Good luck with that. So that's when I went the other way. And but I started taking the test for the fire department, and a police test came along in the city that I was living, and I took that, and they offered me a job before the fire department did. I go, fire department, if I get a job there, you're there with, 3 or 4 people for 24 hours, and you may or may not like who you're working with. And I have a dog. And the other one, the police department, you get to drive around all day and talk to people, and then you get to go home at night. And I thought that was better. I could just drive around and talk to people all day. And so that's what I chose. And I loved it. And I was a patrol officer for 13 years. And then towards the end of my career, I did go in the office and did more paperwork and stuff for the accreditation. But it was so fun. Every once in a while, I'd still get to go out and do things. And it was fun.
I think Charlie's Angels gave you the purpose and that drive to just push, right? We had to look up to some people when we were young, guys.
Exactly. Well, okay. Marlo Thomas, if you remember that girl, Marlo Thomas, when I was a performer, I wanted to go to New York and be a performer. That didn't happen, but that's okay.
So where did the purpose driven come in? As a little girl, as an adolescent, adult, where did that come in?
Okay, so even while I was a police officer, even though I loved my job, it felt like there was something missing. Like there was a hole there that needed to be filled. And I started doing some searching. It started about 3 years into my job. It's a little stressful. And at the gym, they had a yoga class. And so I took that a lot of, a little bit for exercise, but a little bit for relaxation. My favorite part was the end where you just lay down. Shavasana. That was like
I'm done. I survived.
that was like my spiritual connection. So every week when I go to yoga, it's like, I did my spiritual thing for the week. But it was funny because the lady that was teaching yoga, also she was a marriage and family counselor, but she also taught teachers to teach yoga. And one night she had a class. It was color therapy and Reiki. And I had no idea what Reiki was, but I thought color therapy was, what color to paint your walls for different emotions or stuff. So that's what I went. And it turned out the color therapy was chakras and the different colors for the energy centers. And then the lady that was demonstrating Reiki asked for a volunteer. And I had a kink in my neck that had been bothering me. And when you're driving a car all day and it's hard to turn your head to check your blind spot, that's not good. So I volunteered. And she put her hand on my neck and it warmed up and the kink immediately went away. It's like, wow. So I got trained in Reiki and I was sort of drawn to that, to the healing. And from there, I went to massage school and learned other healing arts. And I was sort of drawn to that. And there was a lady that I've been following because, here I started a little Reiki business, and here I've always wanted to have a business besides just having a job. And this lady that I've been following that helps women business owners, develop their business, she was going to be in the Phoenix area. And I thought it was close enough that I could go drive down there and see her. And I go, okay, I'm going to be meeting all these people. I had to present myself. I also decided I was going to be a coach. So, okay, I'm going to be a coach. I need some business cards to pass out to people to introduce myself when I'm networking. And I made these business cards couple nights before, and I decided I'm going to be a health coach because I was always interested in health stuff, working out. And I got down there and the little networking before her presentation, I couldn't hand out those cards because I felt like a fraud. I go, I'm not really a health coach. It was weird. It was like I stopped myself from handing those out. And then during the presentation, she was talking about you have to do what's in your heart. And I started crying while I was sitting there in the audience because I knew I wasn't a health coach, even though I thought I'd represent myself as that, but I wasn't sure what was in there. And afterwards, she was there at the after networking, and I went up to talk to her. She was promoting a training she was doing, and I told her I'd love to work with you, but right now I don't really know what I want. And she guided me to a book called The Passion Test. And I left that, went to the bookstore that night over at the college right there, Arizona State, and got the book, started reading it that night in the hotel room, and went home the next day and finished it. But it talks about finding your purpose, how to find your purpose and living your purpose. And the authors of that book, they teach people to teach the lessons in that book. And I was so drawn to that I actually took a training. And I thought, I had been searching for my purpose, learning all those alternative healing things, was just searching and searching and searching. And that was like, I can't be the only one that's in that place of not knowing what I want to do or not knowing what my purpose is. So teaching the passion test and helping people find their passion which is your purpose, was now my new thing. And I knew I was going to do some coaching and do that along the lines of doing hypnosis along the way when I retired. And then when I did retire and I started my hypnosis business, one of the techniques I use is called quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is a combination of past life regression, connecting with the higher self, and some healing. But I had so many people come to me for that session, and they wanted to know what their life purpose was. And so here I could teach that. But what was happening was they would learn what their purpose was, but then what? They needed somebody to help them, because I found this myself. Your friends or your family aren't always your biggest supporters when you're finding yourself, and you may go on a path that they think is crazy, or like, what are you doing now? And
I get that all the time.
you're in good company here then. And so they need support. And once you figure it out, so now what I do is I help figure out what is your purpose. And then I help people tap into their intuition, their higher self, so you can get the messages and understand them when you're receiving them, and guide them and trust that. But then now you know what you want to do. How are you going to do it? So let's make a little plan of getting there. But then as you start on that path to get there, all of a sudden it's like the universe crashes down. Okay, you think you know what you're going to do, and everything gets thrown in your path. Yeah, exactly. Everything gets thrown in your path.
There's another door that you fall in, and you're like, where am I going now?
Yeah. So then what do? You got to figure out how to go through it or around it or over it so you can get to the thing. And just because there's a block doesn't mean you can't keep going. It just means maybe there's a little detour that you need to do along the way to either learn something, or maybe there's somebody you're supposed to help along over here before you get over here. And so that's what we do. And then as you do that and you hit those blocks and all that stuff, a lot of stress comes up in your body, which now can affect your health, your relationships, all of that. So helping people figure out, how to work with that stress, manage that stress. So all that gets combined into Bossy Woo. Yay.
Well, Valerie, when you started talking about the color therapy, I was the same way. It was just like do the colors and all that mean something? And your favorite color is purple. So I want to know what the chakra purple stands for.
That's for like your crown chakra.
So the crown.
Yeah, it's up at the top. It's more of a spiritual color.
Okay.
Yeah. Like red starts at the bottom, and then as you go up, there's the orange, the yellow, the green. Your throat is blue, indigo, and then sometimes the crown chakra is, well, this is your third eye, is white or like a light purple. So yeah.
So is that why that's your favorite color?
Yes, but I thought it looked good with the background too.
The girl ain't gonna lie.
You were talking about, what am I thinking while you're doing? What I was thinking was, dang, I forgot to turn on my lamps for my background.
She has purple lamp guys in the background. We had a question that came in while you were talking as well, Valerie. What is past life regression?
Past life regression, okay, it's not for everybody because not everybody believes that we have past lives. But during a past life regression session, you go into a hypnotic state, and then I talk you through. The client is actually talking to me. I will ask questions, and we'll figure out like what time period we're visiting, what were you in that particular time period, man, woman, child, adult. What did you do during that time period? Where did you live? And we'll go to a few different scenes in that life to see whether it's your work or whether it's some times going working with your family or whatever it might be. And then we also go through the death scene, because the way somebody died could be affecting them now. For example, somebody that is afraid of water may have drowned in a previous life, or somebody that's heavy and wants to lose weight, and no matter what they do, they can't lose weight. It could be in a previous life, they starved to death. And so what's happening buried deep down in your subconscious is that I can't starve. I have to protect this body. I have to live. And once we realize that that was a previous time, then all of a sudden the weight can just fall off because, excuse me, there is no reason now for us to starve to death. Food's plentiful. And so that will help. It changes what's going on in the subconscious. And sometimes with a past life regression, we are all connected. So somebody might be seeing scenes that may not truly have been themselves actually at that particular time, but it's a scene that they need to see. It's a life they need to connect with to get lessons. And once we get through all that and go through the death scene and I have to ask permission, connect to their higher self. But we start getting answers and find out why during that part of the session were they shown these scenes. And so the higher self will give them some answers. It could have been somebody I had as a client. It was to show her, well, this was interesting if I can go through that. We didn't really go through many scenes. She almost ended up, when she arrived at that place, at her death scene. And we showed she was a leader in a tribe, and then she died shortly after that. But the whole point was to show her that she was somebody she was a healer in this tribe, and she was important, and she still is important, and she has all this stuff inside her still. And so it was to show her that we didn't need to see a bunch of other things. So it's just, get that message to the person. And it's interesting sometimes too. It's like finding out in a previous life, who was I, is there anybody in my life now that I was connected with? Somebody's mom might have been their sister or brother in a previous life, or a child or something. So it's interesting sometimes to see those connections, because we do have the same souls that we seem to travel with through different lifetimes.
So is that considered cutting a cord? Like cord cutting?
Not necessarily. You mean seeing who we're tied to, or what?
Yeah, because there's a healing place here that does cord cutting in order for you to move on and carry on in this life, not that life. You know what I mean?
I don't necessarily really do that. So more when I do cord cutting, it's like, okay, this might be a memory or something, and just think of it and let it go type thing. But yeah, what you're talking about isn't some. So
Okay.
That's interesting to find out about that.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of different theories out there. So but what's interesting too sometimes, especially with past life regression, you read different books and they're all similar though, with the past life regression. And what's interesting is the training. Somebody will do a past life regression with their little specialty and call it this. And someone will do something similar with their little specialty and call it this, but they all have something similar. So it's interesting.
Well, it's pretty interesting, right?
I might make up. Oh, go ahead.
I think we're overlapping for some reason. I think StreamYard, I'm going to give you a message after. But I think that we bring in our own unique way of serving, right? So we're all doing similar healings, but we're bringing in our unique touch to it.
Yeah, I think so. And what's funny too is even if somebody does something exactly the same as somebody else, it's still your personality. Some people, if they're going to be clients, are going to resonate more with this person than they do this person. And so that's why I also think there's no competition. If you and I were doing the exact same thing, I don't care if they would rather work with you than me, because that's who they're drawn to and that's who they're going to resonate with, and they're going to get more out of it then. If there's something that doesn't resonate with me, then it's going to, not that we're always butting heads during it, but they're not going to be open to the things that I have to offer. Whereas with you, they would be better for them.
And I'm the same way. If I can't give you what you're looking for, I'm going to refer you to somebody who can, because I don't have all the answers and I'm not everyone's cup of tea. So, I just keep it the way it is, straight, blunt, upfront. And this is what you get. If you don't like it, well, there's like, I don't know how many more out there. Just go find it.
So many times when I'm talking to somebody that wants to have a session, they're not quite right for me, but I'll get, okay, let's flip. A lot of times just because they need therapy, and I'm not a therapist. Quantum healing hypnosis technique is not therapy, or hypnosis is not therapy unless you already are a therapist. So I'll just get on Psychology Today and, okay, where do you live? Let's, here you go. Call these people. So that's might help.
There was something that I watched earlier about you, Valerie, another podcast that you were on, and you had put that you're a guide, you're into guiding, not being the boss. It's your clients that are the boss. Whoa. So let's get into the Bossy Woo on how how you came up with it, how you got the name. And I'm kind of curious because bossy and guiding are two different things.
It's like,
I'm like all like, okay, she's Bossy Woo, but no, now it's her clients that are Bossy Woo. So I was just like, wait till I get her here. I'm gonna,
no.
I'm that drill sergeant.
Are you a Sagittarius?
No, I'm a Taurus.
Bulldoze right through. Okay. I'm a Sagittarius and tend to blurt things out. Okay. So Bossy Woo actually started as a joke. I had a coach and she, you know, I have to put together my bio for my website and she add more. And somehow the word bossy came up. And I go, you know, I think my mom wrote that I was bossy in my little baby book. And so, but then, okay, so I went through my jobs. UPS driver. Okay, the old days, I was before computers. Remember, you had to shove a clipboard under somebody's nose and sign here, like right now, so you could run back to the truck real fast. Okay, that's bossy. And then I was a flight attendant. You're bossy there. Sit down, put your seatbelt on, no smoking in the bathroom. Okay, that's a bossy job. And then police officer, you do have to tell people what to do sometimes. Stop, sit down, you know, and so that's the bossy part. But then because of all the alternative stuff and the spiritual work I've been doing, combining the two. And so the bossy and the woo, but bossy also had another connotation because I think of myself, okay, if I'm going to hire a coach, I don't want it to be like therapy where someone, well, what do you think? Which is sort of like coaching, drawing it out of somebody. If I have an answer and I can just tell somebody, then I'm going to tell you. So it's more like a little mentoring sometimes instead of just coaching and letting somebody figure it out for themselves. So that was partly, I can be the boss, but I'm going to connect it with spiritual. But then the more it grew, it's like once somebody figures out what their purpose is, their passion, and they have that path and they're getting on the life that they're supposed to be living, they now are the boss of their own life. And they've got that connection to spirit. So as they travel through life, they've always got that connection. So they know they're on the right path. So they can get that help when they need to from their higher self or from the divine, the universe, God, whatever name they call that. So even though, yeah, Bossy Woo is me when I'm working with you, you get to be Bossy Woo too.
Well, do you really want to have like a little, let's sit down and be kind and kumbaya? Or do you want somebody that says, hey, are you ready to work with me or what?
Exactly. In fact, last night I was just going through my if somebody wants to work with me paperwork type thing, and it was like, okay, this is not for you if you're not ready to work, if you're not going to listen to what I have to say. Here I am. Okay, sorry, here I am pointing my finger.
She's being the boss.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, you know, if you're not going to do the work and you just want to show up, or you know, and you don't want to do the homework, then you probably don't want to work with me. If you just, you know, maybe we should do a sound healing session or something, but not a whole program. I'm ready. I want to work with people that are ready to change their lives. I'm tired of where I am. I have this yearning inside and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I need the help to find out. So yes, if that's what you need, then I would love to have somebody reach out to me and I would love to work with them. But if they're not ready, they have to be ready. I'll talk to people sometimes and it's like, you know what? Maybe you should think about it. Maybe you need a little more time to do whatever you're doing now. And in 6 months, maybe we'll talk because you're not ready yet. You know, a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means you don't care about making any changes. And 10 is you wished you would have done it 5 years ago. Where are you on that scale? And if somebody's not at least an 8, and that's sort of iffy, then don't waste your time. Don't waste your money working with somebody because you're not going to get out of it what you need because you're not totally invested in it. You don't really care about changing. Even though you might want to, there's a difference between wanting to and really being ready and willing to go all in to make the changes.
I was here sitting and my head was screaming was 8, 8, 8, 8. And here she says the number 8. I'm just like,
And then, okay, so when they get stressed because I won't work with them yet because they're not an 8, then there's that little, have you ever done this? The little figure 8 around your eyes to reduce stress?
Yeah. Right. Well, it's the infinity, right? Time matters. Like,
and I even had an infinity car for a while. I loved it.
Right.
It all goes together.
it's like tea, right? And I tell this to everybody, time, it's a time travel. It's the past, the present, and the future. Are you tired of the past? Or are you sitting just in the present and you don't have no future goals, no future? Like, if you're not ready to move forward, you just want to do the excuses, then I'm not here for you. You know, it's like, you take the time and come back in 6 months and we'll see if you're ready. I think healing is time, but time well spent, if that makes sense to you.
Mhm. Well, I remember, like you said, you have to have something. When I first retired, before I actually started my hypnosis business, we had just moved to a new town. My husband was working, and he had met some friends because I was still finishing my job up before I moved completely here. And so I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do, but just not yet. And it was like I had no purpose. And I remember sitting on the couch, just like staring at the TV, probably for like 2 weeks straight. What am I going to do with myself? It was almost like I went into a depression, not a clinical depression, but yeah. So finally, you have, when that happens, you have to get up and move and start doing something. And they had some classes at the college that was for the community. And I just started taking some classes and meeting people and actually getting back into life. And so then it's like, okay, now I got the oomph. I think it took about a month and a half to get my business going and, get all the stuff you need to do. So, but it was just getting up and moving and meeting some people that now I've got the incentive to do what I want to do and get going.
So Valerie, we have a question that just came in. Do you work with just women or men as well?
I work a lot with women. Most of my clients are women, but I do have some wonderful men that I work with. And what's interesting is my men clients, some of those, they follow directions better sometimes.
Surprisingly, but they do
homework.
There are men out there that do listen.
I love working with my male clients. I just have a lot of women that actually come to see me. So, but yeah.
I think women are more stubborn head, like bullhead, because it's woman on woman, right? It's that queen bee in the house. Like, oh, do I need to listen to her or do I need to listen to me? Like, it's that back and forth.
Yep. We think we already know it. So why do I have to listen to her? Hey, you came to me. So now you need to listen. I will call you on it. That's why, like, sometimes in my quantum healing, so there's part of it, once we do the past life, the next section is where we connect with the higher self. And the client has given me a list of questions that they want answers to. And what's interesting was, now, I've already talked to my client before we ever start the session. So I already know what their voice sounds like and how they speak. And then during the past life regression, as I'm asking questions, again, they're answering. And so I know how they talk. And once we get to the higher self, I know whether or not we've connected with the higher self because either their voice will change, whether it's higher or lower pitched, or whether they speak faster or slower, and the words they use. And then they also say, well, he or she should whatever. And so every once in a while, I have somebody that will want to butt in, and I'll ask a question and they'll go, well, I already warned them at the beginning. You need to just relax, sit back, let the answers come through. And if you try and butt in, I haven't said Bossy Woo you yet, but if you know who Dr. Laura is, she's a psychologist on the radio who has a call-in show, and she is very blunt with her clients. So I will Dr. Laura you if you try and butt in. And it's like, I have to call them on it. This is your session. You want to get some answers. So you just need to relax and let the answers come through. Don't try and get the answers. So yeah, it's sort of funny sometimes, and it works, but they've been warned. So
and for all of the audio listeners out there, she is pointing her finger at me.
I'm pointing at the screen. You're over here on me. If it went that way, it's because my right hand.
You're over there. You're over here.
I'll just start using this hand so it doesn't look like.
I want to get some of these questions out to you, Valerie, that came in. How did 20 years as a police officer influence the way you guide and support women today?
It's interesting as an officer because you are almost like two personalities, because sometimes you have to be tough, and you use your outdoor voice, or whatever your mom says, your indoor voice. You have to yell at people and make, sometimes project. Okay. But then you're in situations where we've got victims, you've got traffic accidents where people are hurt and they just need the caring side of you. And oh, I have chills. So this was a question I needed to have. Thank you, whoever asked that. There's so many times when women are victims, unfortunately, domestic violence. And so we had to counsel them. So as a police officer, yes, you're an authority figure, but you're also a counselor. Some people may be trained psychologists, but you have to be a psychologist and a therapist and a healer and all this stuff all rolled into one, because there's so many different situations. And many times women are the ones that need the help. Men need help too, but many times they can figure out their own solutions a lot of times. But women reach out because they do need the help. And so many times women feel more comfortable when there's a female police officer there. And so they would share things with me that they might not, one of my partners, if it was a male partner. And so working with the women in that situation, I like to believe I had the compassion before that, and that's why it helped in that job. But yeah, just helping them in that situation also helps me now too.
Well, and you just mentioned something, Valerie. A police officer is many titles that a lot of people don't see, because you don't know the situation you're going into. You could be going into a life-changing experience on a call, or you could be going into a situation where somebody just needs to be heard, right? Or get guidance and support and solutions and that. So as a police officer, you're wearing many titles. Besides that officer, you're wearing the empathy, the compassion, the understanding, the support, and then you have to be that assertive person as well in situations, you know what I mean, where you have to take that guard. So there's many different titles that we don't see that a police officer needs to carry as well.
Mm-hmm. One of them, I didn't know this before I started the job. There's a lot of paperwork. So apparently I was a writer and a typer too.
I won't show my desk, guys. So Valerie, you wrote in a book called The Call Within. So let's talk about The Call Within, because that's almost like an anthology book, correct?
Yeah, that was, I think there was close to 50 authors in that one. And I got to write that one chapter in that book. And that was more about how I got here, finding my purpose. So a little bit of what I shared during doing the searching and the classes and the training and all that stuff. Like, what do I need to do next? And, then finding the passion test and all that stuff. So that mainly was what my chapter was about in that book.
Yeah, I think we have some technical issues going on here, because I see a bunch of little red lights going off, but we're still live and we're still going to cover this. So if we lose some locations, we're still on one location. We're here. So we're still getting recorded. It might be because there's a storm outside. So Valerie, I know that I was getting cut off a bit and you were getting cut off a bit. So let's go back into the Call Within, because that was an anthology book, correctly?
Yes, that book had 50 different authors, and I got to write one chapter in that. And so each of us wrote something about like finding our purpose, pretty much. So my chapter dealt with pretty much what I explained earlier, how, searching and taking all the different trainings and classes, trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing? And so that was what that chapter was.
So what was it about that book that called you?
I thought it might be fun to write a book, and also knowing that there's other people out there that are in the same situation, that they needed to see that you can find your purpose. And so that's one reason why I do this, is because I don't want somebody else to have to go through all this stuff. I was doing stuff for 10 years because Yeah, okay. So I was at the police department for 20 years, and it was my third year in when I started doing all this stuff. So yeah, 17 years. Dang, that's a long time. So that's why I want to help somebody get there faster.
So, Valerie, if I got it right, you're releasing a book in September, correct, of this year?
There's another one that just came out, Whispers of the Soul. And then there's another book I'm doing with some other people that talks more about the Bossy Woo, the coaching, finding your purpose. So yeah, that'll be in September. But then, yeah, Whispers of the Soul. Um, that was supposed to be about, let's see, what was I'm trying to think. What were the instructions that we got when we did it? It was, how did you get from, okay, there's so many people that it was sort of like I was here and now I'm here. And what I had in my mind, it's like, I never actually lived in my car eating out of the gutter and I climbed up the curb and now I'm here. You know, I was homeless and now I'm a billionaire. I don't have a story like that. So well, I'm not going to do that book. And then I thought it might be fun to do something. I do have a story. But as I started writing that story, I stopped because it started bringing up a lot of emotions. And I told myself, I go, I can't do this. And I shared that with one of my co-authors from the first book. And she read what I had already started writing. And she goes, no, you have to do this because people need to see this. And so in that book, there was a time when I was in college where I actually had a man walk into the women's restroom while I was in there. And it could have been very horrible, but that's when I really recognized spirit, God, whoever was talking to me at that time and guided me through that. And I didn't get hurt. The guy never got caught, but it was just that whole situation and the things that were happening it was probably only a few minutes, but time just seems to slow down. And so I wasn't physically attacked, thank goodness. You know, I go more into detail in the book, but I thought, and I hadn't even shared this with my husband until about a couple months before I started writing this book. And I've been married to him for 14 years, and I hadn't even shared this with him. I'd shared it with some of my women friends, but that was it. And so, but as I was writing, it's like, you know, there's other women that have been in situations like this and worse. And so part of it too is, yes, this is what happened. And so we talked about detours earlier. It took me on a wide detour because I went to college to be a teacher. I was going to teach physical education in high school or junior high. The reason I did that was because that's where the dance department was.
We're going to get back into that dance because when you said it, I was just like, oh my goodness, small world.
But I like sports. So, and my grandmother was a teacher. My mom guided. She goes, you need to be a teacher. So I went there sort of to make her happy too. But so that was my plan. And it was just the semester between I had just graduated and I was going to start doing my next training for student teaching. And I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't go to class anymore. Some of my classes were at night. I couldn't go. And my mom happened to be out of town at the time that the incident happened, and I didn't even tell her. And it was probably a month or so later when all of a sudden stuff started bothering me, and I told her. And it's like sometimes I wonder I never asked her. I wonder how she felt when I told her and not telling her, a month earlier. But this is one of the things. I try and keep things in so I'm not bothering other people sometimes. So I didn't want to bother my mom. And, but when that happened, it was sort of changing my whole life. And I ended up quitting school. And that's when I ended up getting a job with TWA, an old airline that's no longer here, in the reservations office. And so no longer on the teaching path. But then again, life happens. I got laid off from TWA, went and worked for American Airlines, got laid off again. That's when I got my UPS job. So everything just sort of flows. And I think, that's a wide, that was a wide path for whatever I was talking about. Now I remember. Okay, so the whole,
Well, you were taking us on that long journey.
that was the whole point of why I needed to do that book, that chapter, because look where I ended up. I was going to be a teacher, but I had this horrible thing happen to me, which took me completely out of what I had planned. But it led me to this, which led me to this, which led me to this. And so I got to be the police officer and help people for 20 years. I never would have done that if I would have been a teacher. I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't got the police job and, taken the yoga classes and all that stuff. So one thing leads to another. But the point of that was too, something bad can happen and take you completely off what you think your track or your path is, but good things can come out of it. So that was a long way of saying that.
But Valerie, that's what I mean, right? If we change the past, the present would not be what it is today. So the future will not be what it is tomorrow. The time travel, had you not had that experience, you would have been a teacher. You wouldn't have met the people that you were supposed to meet as a police officer. You wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't be working with the clients that you are today. And you wouldn't be sitting here having tea with me and taking me on a long journey.
And how horrible would that be? I wouldn't have got to meet Miss Liz and do tea time.
Right? It all happens for a reason. The spill of tea happens for a reason. The time travel happens for a reason. And sometimes you think you're going to the right and the bend in the road takes you to the left and you're like, where the heck am I going now? Or it takes you straight and you're like, whoa, buckle up.
It was like, whoa, I just hit the wall. I need to rest. Yeah. Okay. How many times? That's when you need to listen to your intuition, because how many times I know someone who go all the time and was being told you need to slow down, you need to relax, and ended up spraining her ankle. So guess what? She ended up slowing down and relaxing. So if you don't follow your intuition, if you don't, whatever the universe is telling you, you need to follow it. Otherwise, it will make you do what it wants you to do.
It'll make you sick.
I'll show you.
You think you're going there? You're going here.
Yep. You're going right on your butt for about a month while you heal.
Right? So Valerie, what is your morning ritual or an evening practice? What grounds you more?
I am not a morning person. So my
Good.
morning is good. You're
like me.
Well, shoot, I send you an email and you answer me, and it's 11:30 at night. And I'm not sure what time zone you're in. I think you're 2 hours from me. So yeah. And then you're answering again when I reply. It's like, oh my goodness. So that was funny. But I could be up till 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm not 4 in the morning, but sometimes I get my best stuff at 9 o'clock. So I like to, in the morning, and just get up and feed the dogs and then get ready for the day. But at night, that's when I like to just sit sometimes and relax and sort of plan for the next day. I do have a ritual every Friday. One of my groups that I'm in, somebody does a sound bath over Facebook Live. So it's like at noon on Fridays, nobody bother me, because I've got one of those mats that warms up and it's got crystals in it for chakra healing. And I lay on the mat and I just listen to the sound bath, and that's.
I want to talk about sound baths. Time is flying with me and you. I want to talk about sound baths.
Okay.
Because I've never heard of them. What are they?
Oh, well, can I show you my bowls? You might.
Sure.
Sure. Well, actually, here's a bowl right here. Have you seen these crystal bowls before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So that is just the sound bath is I use these bowls, or I have some little kochi chimes. They're like little bamboo things that have things. Let me go grab one.
See, I literally went sound bath. Like you're in the tub and there's sound.
No.
It's the sound in my head.
Yeah, it's the sound frequencies have different healing properties. So I have a set of 7 plus an extra, which is the Om, the universal frequency. And so I just play that, and people can just relax. And the bowls also resonate with the different chakras. And so sometimes we can do chakra clearing, imagining opening up your different chakras and sort of cleaning it out. And you've got that frequency that helps. But from what you said, it was funny. The other day I was on a class, and the instructor was asking, when you're doing hypnosis, what do you do different than somebody else might do? And so I said, well, sometimes when we're doing the induction, the very beginning of it, I'll do a sound bath so they can relax. And I said, with crystal bowls. He thought I said crystal balls. So when he was referring to it later, he kept talking about crystal balls. And I go, I do oracle card readings, and I sort of like that stuff. But I just wanted to laugh out loud, but I didn't. I controlled myself. He was so cute. It was like,
you just made me go into the dirty thoughts, and I'm just like, I do this with my kids. When my kids get really bored with me or something, I just start laughing. They say something, and it's dirty thoughts, and they're like, Mom, what are you thinking? I was like, you don't even want to go there.
You just reminded me of something too, which I probably shouldn't share either. So my friend or my husband thought it was funny, but
right? Sometimes you just got to go there. It's like when you said sound baths, I was like, sound baths. Like, I want to practice this? I love my bubble bath. So is there something that I need to be doing in the sound? Like, can we do sound therapy in the tub? Like,
you could. Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't done one yet, but there are people that I know. They get people floating in the pool. You just get on a raft in the pool, and they'll play the music on the side, and everybody because you've got the little motion from the water, which is very relaxing. And then you've got the music coming from the side, which is relaxing. So, yeah.
Wow. That's why I always play music when I'm in the tub. There's my sound back, guys.
Hey.
I'm trying to get the dirty thoughts out of my
Okay, cut it out. I'm gonna have to bossy woo you.
Be your own boss. Okay, I got a question here for you, Valerie. What is one affirmation that you go to for strength?
You can just make up your own affirmations. So was that a question of somebody needs
I'm just trying to get out of that dirty thought mind.
So let's see. If someone needed an affirmation, I'll just tell somebody how to make an affirmation. Think of whatever it is that you're trying to overcome. Think of the negative part of it, and then just change it into something simple. So a lot of people have money concerns. I don't have enough money. Well, you just turn it around. Money is plentiful, or I'm a money magnet. And that's when you start, putting all those little affirmations on your mirror or in your wallet, or somebody that wants to lose weight. I'm slim and trim and healthy. And whatever you're trying to change, just turn it into something positive. So for strength, I have confidence. People look to me for guidance, or, whatever it is. If you have to speak in front of people, I am a renowned world-renowned speaker. People give me standing ovations when they see me give my speeches, or whatever. I can make up some more if you want.
Well, it goes with what you put into the universe, right? What you speak to the universe is what's going to happen and manifest.
And sometimes we might not believe it at that particular time, but I also like to instruct my clients. Say it out first. You're writing it, but say it out loud too, because now you're using more of your senses. If you just think it, it's just right there in your brain. But if you're writing it, now you're using the physical part of it. You're actually seeing it. You're speaking it. And then as you're speaking it, you're also hearing it. So you're using all those senses as you're getting it out into the universe. And then the more you say it, your subconscious starts recognizing that. And you're overriding whatever the negative things are that you're trying to overcome. So you're putting these new thoughts in there. And eventually your subconscious will believe it too. Because your subconscious doesn't know what's real and what's not. So if you're telling it all these good, great things, it's going to believe it. And the more often you tell it to yourself, you're going to believe it as well.
So Valerie, give me one time in your life that really changed your life, that made a difference, a huge impact in your life?
One of the, well, a couple that we already talked about, that thing in college, because that set me on a whole nother path. And then talking to that lady when I went to her presentation and she guided me to that book, that was a big change right there, because that led me on the path to finding my purpose, which has now guided me here. So those were a couple of big ones. Not ones I expected. How embarrassing to be sitting there in an audience crying your eyes out. But but you know, it's not in my heart. So I got to find what's in my heart. And yeah. So, and when people are listening to,
No, go ahead.
When someone's listening to their intuition, you know, figure out, how are you receiving messages? Do you get like images in your head? I know I get feelings sometimes, like little chills. And if you get chills, notice that. When does that happen? You know, like, maybe I better pay attention to what's going on. I've been getting some chills while we've been talking today. So I was going to say pleasurable. So you don't go there. I was going to say chills are not pleasurable.
I will try and stay out of there.
That's the word popped up. I didn't mean whatever you thought.
You don't want to know.
Oh,
I want to talk to you, Valerie. We're almost at the end here. I see a lot of different angel numbers and a lot of patterns and colors when I'm paying attention. And that's the big thing, right? Pay attention. So when you're seeing numbers, colors, and patterns, what does that represent? Does that represent messages from past life or future? What does that stand for?
it's a spiritual message. And I get like 1111. I get that like all the time. There's some people, so you're seeing repeating numbers. I'm seeing repeating numbers. Some people never see repeating numbers, but that's a message from the divine. Again, it's a spiritual message. So as soon as I see that, I type it in. If it's one that I'm not familiar with, but a lot of them, it's like they'll, a change is coming, or you're on the right path, or your guides are here with you, type thing. But so I always got my phone. Oh, 333. What is that? But yeah.
No, because I do see that a lot. I do see repeated numbers. I see 1111 every single day. It just seems I wake up or I go into the kitchen or something, on the microwave, it's 1111. I go into the bedroom, it's 1111. I'm just like seriously, I seen you this morning. Why am I seeing you tonight again?
And don't set your clock so one's 1 minute off. So you're in like the kitchen and it's 11:11. You wait a minute and then you go in the bedroom. And
no. Like one's in the morning and one's in the afternoon, like, or in the evening, right?
Yeah.
Or I see 444 a lot, like or like the triple numbers, like 555 or 222, or I see patterns of numbers, but I'll see them like in the morning and in the evening. Like I'm just like, okay, seen you this morning, I don't need to see you this evening. Like you're like a man stuck on me, like get away from me. Yeah, I do talk like that.
I'll tell you something. Hello.
I'm like, lose my number, but then 1111 comes back again, right?
You're not listening to me. Hello.
So Valerie, could you tell us what kind of services you provide so that people can check you out and where they can find you and all that good stuff?
Yes, my website is valerieholden.com, and that describes some of the things I do. That's more of my coaching. My hypnosis, which I don't do as much, but it's got the quantum. If you go St. George Hypnosis Center.com, and it can either be ST George or SAINT George. But I also, I forgot. Anyway, if somebody, I have a little missing to mission map, which is a little guide, just a couple of exercises that someone can do if they want to get some clarity on that. And I meant to have it in front of me here. But if somebody wants to email me at Valerie@valerieholden.com and let me know you want to get that missing to mission map, or if you want to have a session with me, it's just a complimentary 30-minute session, missing to mission. What are you missing in your life and what's your mission? So we figure out where you are, where you want to go, and what's stopping you. And so if you want to email me and just let me know, hey, I would like to have a session with you, or I want to get your little exercises, see what's going on. I
And
will send
Valerie,
that.
what's your final message for everybody tonight?
We all are here for a reason. And many of us know that, and many of us are still searching. And for those that are searching, find some help, because I don't want to see you feeling the same way I did, feeling stuck or lost or like you're just spinning your wheels. So whether you reach out to me because you had fun with us tonight, whether you want to reach out to Miss Liz or somebody else that can help you, but get somebody that's going to be your cheerleader and your guide. Hey, I said guide. Somebody that can guide you, mentor you. Somebody's going to help you find where you need to be and get you on that path. And they're there to support you as you're going through your process and as you continue on that path. So,
Well, it was a pleasure, Valerie. You took me down some paths I didn't even want to go down.
and it's been fun. Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure having you here on Tea Time. And I want to thank Dr. Jim Price for jumping in. He was on Tea Time as well. Check him out. He's got an incredible children's book out there. So thanks, Jim, for popping in. We had some people from Instagram that popped in, and then we had some glitches. You know, that's the spiritual world that's glitching in, I think. It needed to turn off those channels because they were too busy. So we still had the LinkedIn and YouTube that stayed on. I think Facebook and Instagram is having some glitches again. So, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thank you again, Valerie, for sitting and having tea with me and going down some paths and having some fun and some giggles. You know, sometimes we just have to have some fun. So a little bit about what we did tonight. We had an empowering session with Valerie Holden, a true reminder that embracing your story is the first step forward, rewriting your path. Thank you for joining us on Tea Time, journey of insight, courage, and connection. Until next time, keep planting seeds of change, one cup of tea at a time. And I'll be back, same time, same place on Thursday, and we'll do it all over again.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Miss Liz.